Hey guys, it's Scott here from Horse Racing Daily, and today's video is going to be a contender versus pretender video for the 2022 Kentucky Derby. I'm going to do a quick overview of each horse, and in my opinion, if I think they're a contender or a pretender. The first horse I have is Epicenter, and I have him labeled as a contender. I like this Louisiana Derby and his rhythm start effort. I think he's improved leaps and bounds over his LeCompton and Gunrunner Stakes effort, so for me, he's a contender. Zanin, I have him labeled as a contender. I'll put a line through his rhythm star as Chad Brown has a history of not firing with his horses first off the layoff of 3-year-olds. On the Bluegrass, I thought the pace was a little on the slow side, and he had a really good turn of foot into a slow pace. So for me, Zanin is a contender. White Barrio, one of my good friends is going to hate me for this one, but I have him labeled as a pretender. I thought the Florida Derby field came home really slow. I mean, I know the pace was kind of hot to start the race, but I think the waters only get deeper for White Barrio. So for me, he's a pretender, but I will be putting him third or fourth in some of my superfectas. Donegal, I have him labeled as a pretender. I could see him jumping up and getting a piece because he does have a really good closing kick in the stretch, but I think he has lacked some of the tactical speed to be able to get the win spot in the Kentucky Derby. Tis the Bob, I'm having him labeled as a pretender. He did have a good effort in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and he's performed good on synthetic races. But I need to see him do it on dirt, and he's going to face a really tough field. So for me, he's a pretender. Cyberknife, I have him labeled as a pretender. I'm not a big fan of the Arkansas fields this year. I think they've all came back really weak. So for me, he's a pretender. Uh, Crown Pride, I have him labeled as a pretender. I do have a lot of respect for the Japanese horses, and I think their time is coming where they wind up winning a Kentucky Derby in the future. But I'm going to play against that happening this year. So for me, he's a pretender. Taiva, he's a contender, but there are some question marks around him as he's only had one work since the Santa Anita Derby, and I wasn't really that impressed with his workout. And I keep hearing that the Santa Anita Derby took a little something out of the horse. So I'm going to play against him, but based on what he's done visually, he's definitely a contender. Simplification, I have him as a contender. I like this Fountain of Youth effort, and I don't think Antonio Sano had this horse fully cranked for the Florida Derby. So I have him as a contender. I think you're going to get some good odds on him, and I hope he can get into my trifecta and superfectas and spice up the payouts. Smile Happy, I have this horse as a pretender. Uh, he's not been able to beat Epicenter or Zanin in his two races. The waters get deeper, so I don't think he's going to get any better. But I do have respect for Kenny McPeak and what he's done, for getting some high horses up in some races. So, but for me, he's ultimately a pretender. Uh, Tony Port, I have him labeled as a pretender. His Lexington was really good, but the waters get deeper here. Barber Road, I have him as a pretender, even though I could see him maybe sneaking up and getting third or fourth. Actually, more likely fourth, but I'm not a fan of the Arkansas fields, so for me, he's a pretender. Uh, Un Ojo, I have him labeled as a pretender. The time to bet him was the Rebel Stakes. I don't think the time to bet him is now, so for me, he's a pretender. Early voting, I have him. Well, he's rumored to be going to the Preakness and not racing the Kentucky Derby. But if he does draw into the field, I have him labeled as a pretender. He's not going to get the same setup like he got at the Wood Memorial. The waters get deeper, and the pace is going to be hotter. So he's a pretender for me. Uh, Morello is. I don't think he's going to draw into the Kentucky Derby either. Messier, I have him as a contender, and I think he could come at some good odds. He ran really good in the Robert B. Lewis. The Santa Anita Derby, he got passed by Taiva, but if the California horses are ultimately the cream of the crop, then this horse should perform well and probably wind up paying double digit, maybe 15, 20 to 1. So he's a contender in my book. Zozos, I have him as a pretender. He's still lightly raced, but the waters are going to get a little deeper for him. So I don't think he's going to do it against the top horses of the field. And Epicenter kind of blew past him with ease in the Louisiana Derby. So for me, he's a pretender. Summer is tomorrow. Same with the other Japanese horse. He's going to be a pretender for me. The time will come when the Japanese horse will win the Kentucky Derby, but I'm playing that it doesn't happen this year. Charge It. I think he's going to be the wise guy horse for the Derby, but I don't think he's going to win because he just looks the part on the racetrack. Like he's got the size, it's visually impressive, but I still think mentally he's not quite ready for the big stage yet. So for me, he's a pretender. Happy Jack by Doug O'Neill. For win spot, he's a pretender. For the superfecta, I'm gonna put him in there. There's not much visually I can tell you, but I know Doug O'Neill and Calumet Farm have a history of bringing some long shots in the superfectas before. Look at was it Sonneteer in the a few years ago, Bourbonic last year, Hot Rod Charlie in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at 92-1. So I would put him in there because all it takes is one of these to get in that superfecta, and your payouts are going to be massive. Pioneer Medina, I have him as a pretender. Water's going to get deeper, and I don't think he's going to be able to turn the tables on some of these top horses. So pretender for me. In due time, I have him labeled as a pretender also. He had the one good race in the optional claiming race back in February, but in stakes company has not really been that impressive in my book. So for me, pretender. Ethereal Road, I may put him in my superfecta, and I have a lot of respect for the coach, but this horse I have labeled as a pretender. I'm just not a fan of the Arkansas fields this year. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and there'll be more videos to come.